Sponsored by McDonald's Black and Positively Golden Change Leaders. Hey y'all, and welcome to Trials to Triumphs. I'm Ashley Blaine Featherston Jenkins, but you can call me ABFJ. This week, my multi-talented friend, poet, and author of The Unfolding, An Invitation to Come Home to Yourself, Arielle Astoria, talks to me about using jealousy as inspiration. Listen, jealousy can be such an ugly emotion, but during our conversation, Arielle challenged me to reframe its role.
There's room in the sky for all of us. There's room on the stage for all of us. Like, you shine, I shine. And not only are we both shining, but we're reflections of each other's light.
Hi, Arielle.
Hi, Ash. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited you're here on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You're just a delight.
Thank you.
Tell us all how we met. Let's talk about the story of how we met. I think it's really cool.
It is really cool. We met at this dinner. Something told me to gravitate towards the other side of the table. So I had one other friend who I knew there, but I didn't necessarily want to sit by everyone who was also there. So I was like, something told me I'm going to gravitate towards Koya. And I just feel like that's going to be a good space. So Koya Webb, who also is another creative content creator, yogi, mama. She's just like a mama energy, all of the things. She's great. So I veered towards her, and then all of the other Black girl magic just started to trickle in. So Ashley and Rahel, and it was perfect.
We had our own little spot in the table.
Whole world,
Black girl magic,
little corner. Yes. And we were just talking, and we're talking about what we're doing and what's happening in the world around us. And we're geeking about stuff. And every single one of them, as I was talking about, my book coming out, it wasn't out at the time, but it was about to come out, and pre-orders, and Ashley and Koya, all of them just instantly were like, where can we find it? Pre-ordered, and just so advocated for me in such beautiful ways. And yeah, that's how we met. And I sat across the table from you and instantly fell in love.
Aw, what I loved most about meeting you was that, one, I guess to your point earlier, you really stood out to me. I was like, who is this woman? And then you so modestly were like, so I have a book coming out. And I was like, I'm sorry. Me and Rahel were like, wait, you just casually have a book coming out? You were like, yeah, and of course I went on to Amazon. I think I ordered 5 or 6 books right there. And when I got your book, I was like, oh, she's an author. She's a poet. Got it. I was like, oh, wow, she's lit. I just was very taken with you, and we've since become friends, and you inspire me so much with your words, with your presence, just the way you move in the world. And so I'm really excited to learn more about you and share more of you with our listeners. I want people to experience who Arielle the poet is, because it's kind of who I was kind of introduced to her, and now I know you a little bit better, but I was introduced to her first, and that's what really blew me away. So I would love for you to share maybe one of your poems that is really speaking to you right now in this moment, or that you just would really love to share with our listeners.
Okay, I'm actually going to do a new-ish one that I wrote for a friend's show. She does these, it's not quite improv, but it's at UCB, and it's literally called Lauren is a Jealous Bitch. Can we do that on there?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay, great. It's called Lauren is a Jealous Bitch, and she literally was just like, I am jealous, and I used to be like, hide it or pretend I wasn't, but like that's not healthy either. So she literally brings up friends, talented people, musicians, poets, writers, whoever, and at the end of their performing, she tells them why she's jealous of them.
I love that spin on it.
Yeah. It's very fun. So I got to do last week. And oftentimes when I get invited to do things, sometimes a poem will form just off of that topic alone. So I wrote my own, and I feel like it's fitting because we're creatives and, and we're sitting in this weird space right now, as artists, where everything feels like it's being held up, to talk about things, honestly, about the things we're jealous of. And I've only performed it there. So
great.
This is a fun chance to be able to share it. I'm jealous of people with jobs that pay them consistently and love it. I'm jealous of people who aren't lactose intolerant, people who can have spicy food without heartburn. I'm jealous of people who know how to do taxes, like really, really, really know how. I'm jealous of Issa Rae and every extra in the Barbie movie. I'm jealous of people who don't know what purity culture is or Veggie Tales. I'm jealous of women who just know in their hearts of hearts that they want to have kids while I wait for my body to tell me she wants them or something. I'm jealous of those who not only rock the boat, whatever that boat is that needs rocking, but have the audacity to flip it all the way over. I'm jealous of the way the moon is not afraid to share her light in the daytime, how the sun always knows when it's her time to bow and make room for someone else to shine. I'm jealous of older women who say whatever they want, who walk like they owe the world nothing. I'm jealous of the way people say bitch without flinching or wondering if that time then was their 5-word passcode into hell. I'm jealous of people who can say no without wanting to take it back. I'm jealous of girls who learn to own their tits and not shame them. I'm jealous of rude people at nude beaches who don't even think about being nude. I'm jealous of those very few people who say, oh, I don't even use social media. So pretentious and free from doom scrolling, unnecessary add to carts and comparison spirals. I'm jealous of people who were smart enough not to attend a private Christian college. I'm jealous of Black people who were smart enough not to attend a private Christian college. I'm jealous of Amanda Gorman. So jealous, I almost sent a long, drastically typed email to the board of no one from nowhere with this poet's resignation because there simply cannot be enough room for both of us Black girls spilling words. Now, can there? I'm jealous of pastors' kids who did the opposite of what their parents taught them. I'm jealous of my niece. Yes, I'm jealous of my niece who went up to a little girl at the zoo, introduced herself, and asked confidently if she wanted to be her friend. The girl shied away quietly, and my niece, 3 years wise, looked up at me and says, well, I guess she doesn't like me. Shrugged and went to wake a sleeping lion. Some days I am jealous of people who say they believe in something bigger than themselves without the boxes of religion. I'm jealous of the woman I've become and how long it took me to get here. I'm jealous of the future me and how free and audacious I know she's worked so hard to become. I'm jealous of this moment right here. This one that we're all breathing and laughing in right here because it's the only one we'll ever get.
I'm always teary-eyed. Oh my God, this is, and I don't have tissues. Oh my gosh, I'm jealous of the people that don't cry every 5 seconds. Like me. Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Wow. That was powerful.
Thank you. It was fun to write. It was really like healing to write.
Cathartic, right?
Cathartic. Because I'm like, yeah, let me just get all this out. And then someone had shared like, oh, but the way you brought it back to like hope and like silver lining and like yourself. And I'm like, isn't that what all things come back to though? Mm-hmm. Like, even though it's hard and uncomfortable and messy, it always comes back to hope and silver lining in ourselves, you know? And so, yeah.
And so relatable. Like a couple of things that popped out to me were like you talking about your niece. Like that was me as a little girl. Like I was a little
Yeah.
girl, my mom talks about like we would be at the grocery store and I would be running up to kids being like,
Yep.
"Hi, oh my gosh, I'm Ashley." And the kids would be super shy and I would
So
just be
shy.
like, "Oh, okay, like it's their
Okay.
loss, like whatever."
Right.
But I
I'm
think
amazing.
yeah, I think sometimes I have
Yes.
to remind myself of that Ashley, of little girl Ashley as adult
Mm.
Ashley when I get caught
Mm-hmm.
up in like if people like me or if I'm good enough or
100%.
if I'm being received the way that I intend to be.
Want to
Like
be.
I
Mm-hmm.
used to be the kid that didn't matter. And yes, life has
Yeah.
happened to me.
Sure.
That's what's
Yeah.
happened.
We grew up.
I grew up, you know, I've had more
Yeah.
experiences, but it's that reminder that she's still there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still
Yeah.
her. She's
Yeah.
still me.
Absolutely.
And it's how do I
100%.
return to her when I need
Yeah.
to, you know? Also you talking about the sun and the moon, like they work in such synergy and in tandem. Like
Mhm.
the sun knows when it's her time to go down and lets the
Yeah.
moon shine. Like
Right.
I
Right.
never thought about the world or about the planets or about the sun and the moon in that way, but something about that was so invigorating to me and just renewing
Mm.
to my spirit. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the sun doesn't shine all day for a reason,
Right.
you know?
Right. And it flip flops. Like that's the thing. It's like the sun's going down here, but it's up somewhere else. So it's like
Yeah.
there's room like that. I think that one for me is a comparison as we're talking about things I'm jealous of. That is also a thread to come back to comparison of like there's room in the sky for all of us. There's room on the stage for all of us. Like you
Yes.
shine, I shine. And not only are we both shining, but we're reflections of each other's light. And that's what the moon and sun do. They're reflections of each other's light. And so that line for me is coming back to like, you know, yes, there's other poets. Yes, there's other actors. Yes, there's other creators, but like we're all just trying to shine and we're all just trying to be beautiful things in the sky.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That might be one of my favorites of yours ever, for sure.
Okay, good to know.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. What has the Bay Area given you?
I like to say that the Bay Area birthed me, but LA raised me. I mean, the Bay Area is like home. It's where I come from. My number is still 510. And I've been in LA for like 13 years. So it's always been like my grounding space in a sense of like it's home, as in my family is there, as in most of my family is there. But LA is now the space that holds me. But I think the Bay Area will always be, it's not the space I left. It's the space I grew out of. It's the place that kind of gave me the running momentum to really trek into LA and to survive and thrive here. But yeah, it's home. It's always going to be home. And I go back often, but LA is like my place, you know?
What would you say is the greatest lesson your mom taught you that you carry with you to this day?
So many lessons. Mama Shell. One of the biggest things was like obviously in my very futile seasons of dating, I was like telling her the situation about this guy and like the things he was doing, and she just like stopped me and she was like, "Do you feel valued?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Do you feel like the lioness of God you are?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Okay." Like didn't give a preface, but just was like, then what do you do with that information now? And so I think about that not only in relationships. I mean, like I'm happily 3 years married to my spouse who I adore and who is just the biggest cheerleader and confidant. But I apply that to work, to saying yes to opportunities, to being in situations, especially as artists where there's a lot of opportunity to get in some sticky stuff. And I've been in a lot of moments where I had to leave because I had to ask myself, do you feel valued? Do you feel seen as the line of God that you are? And it was like, no and no, so I gotta go. And so, yeah, I think that's a conversation I remember having with her very, very vividly, and I apply it to to anything and everything that serves.
Do you feel valued?
Do you feel
That's
valued?
good.
Just that question alone.
Just that question alone. And again, I mean, just probably multiple times a day I could ask myself that question.
Uh-huh.
For sure.
Uh-huh.
Do I feel valued?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do you feel valued?
Do you feel valued? For more than 65 years, McDonald's has been investing in Black leaders who are taking steps today to own tomorrow. Like through their newest program, McDonald's 2023 Black and Positively Golden Change Leaders. This campaign shines a light on 10 young Black leaders who are inspiring and positively impacting change in their communities and beyond. Like Justice for Black Girls founder Breonna Baker, who cultivates student activism and policy work, develops curriculum that combats the misrepresentation of Black girlhood, and provides monetary relief for Black girl activists. And Camilla Bridgewater, co-founder of First Generation Gems, a nonprofit supporting students of color with mentorships and material aid. All year long, McDonald's is supporting their efforts and helping boost their profiles, including granting $20,000 to each change leader. Because when you have the courage to start something, you can change everything. McDonald's also continues to foster the Black community year-round in more ways too, like through awarding scholarships to HBCU students and forming impactful partnerships with organizations like Boys and Girls Club of America. Learn more at mcbchangeleaders.com and follow on Instagram at wearegolden. What about your dad? What's something you think about when you're like, my dad instilled this in me and I'm really grateful for it?
Well, him being a dad of mostly girls, mostly daughters, he was always really good, like in us growing up, to remind us that we're beautiful. And it was never in like a superficial physical sense either. Just the way he was able to convey it was just so much more like that our existence, our essence, our presence is also beautiful, not just like, our physical. And so that's always been something that I've kept with me in a sense of like, I've never, unless I was at my private white Christian school where I thought I was ugly, but that's a different story. I've always, for the most part, carried that there's a beauty to me, that there's a beauty in me, that it can be a physical, but even more so that it's an internal and that it's an essence of a thing. And he always instilled that into all of us. And then independence until he was like, okay, well, now wait a minute. Y'all still got to find people, don't be so independent. That's, again, a whole different story, but also that we can be strong, capable women on our own, until he was like, what did I do? Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned this white private Christian school and you felt like you were ugly. Was that something that was told to you, or was that your own, like purview of comparison that you were doing?
Yeah, 100%. The comparison. It was also, I didn't look like any of the people around me. Like there was a few of us Black folk, but like there was a whole lot of us. And I was involved in like leadership. I was really, connected. So even more so being in those worlds, there really wasn't other people. So I'm watching, my friends go on dates and do things. And I'm just like, oh, so then I just was not one who guys were like, I see something in you and with you. It was like, you're a great friend or you're X, Y, and Z. And then also just having moments where it's like, I had my freshman year roommates and I would like get in my covers and like get in bed before they did so that I could tie my head wrap underneath my covers. And I had done that one night and I wasn't asleep. They got home and I heard them like whispering about like, where's my hair? Where's her hair? Where's her hair? Like, cause they couldn't see it. And my head wrap was honestly the same like kind of color of my skin. And so they were making comments about me having an illness where I didn't actually have hair. And so there's like those narratives, it was being bigger than everyone, which is just always, I'm built like my dad, who is an ex-football player. So like, I'm going to have the hips, I'm going to have the thighs. And so I've always been bigger. So then that already didn't make me feel like I was something cute or beautiful or worth, anything, because the other girls who were getting chosen didn't look like me, So it was a lot of that. And so I just went towards what I was good at. I'm good at being in leadership. I'm good at communicating. I'm good at being on stage. Even though I may not be pretty to a lot of people here, at least I'm good at these things in their eyes. Yeah.
What led you on your road to like body positivity? And I'm asking this because, you are someone who I look at as an advocate for being body positive. Not only body positive, but like mind positive too, and like soul positive and spirit positive. But I'm really inspired by the body positivity part of it because I haven't always been very kind to myself and my body. And it's like my biggest hope for my daughter, especially my children, my future children, but should I have a daughter, is that she never feels at any point in her life the way that I have felt about my body over majority of my life. I've been so unkind to myself. And honestly, when I think about it, it's really heartbreaking because I look at myself and I'm like, okay, you're 35 now. You've spent most of your life just not really being kind to yourself. Like you have, God willing, you have many years ahead to do it, but like there's been a lot of years that you could have been doing that and you weren't. I feel like a huge part of who I am and my purpose is to inspire. I wonder how many more people I could have inspired if I really saw myself in the way, specifically physically, that I should have. And so again, I'm starting now. It's been a real conscious journey in the past couple of years, I'd say. And it feels really good. But I want you to tell me and our listeners what your journey was like to get there and why body positivity and speaking boldly and proudly and lovingly about yourself is so important.
Yeah, so there's a few layers. I think the first layer is being taught in church spaces that we are not bodies, that we're only souls. And I lived a very disembodied life and a very disembodied spirituality. So I ignored physically everything that was going on and that was happening because I don't need to. I'm a soul. What do I need to pay attention to my body for? But then that turned into a dissociation and a disconnection from the fullness of myself. I do believe that wholeness and whole healthiness is mind, body, and soul. It's all three. It's not and or the other. It's every single one of them. In connection and in collaboration with each other. So at first it was this idea of like, oh, I'm only intaking, being told that my body is a sin, that my body is a temptation, that my body is this, that, or the third. But I'm out here wearing, all black and literal camo and trying to like physically hide. So I'm intaking this information while also seeking to just hide my body, to hide myself, to go in myself almost. And then it was getting to having this little thread of light when I went to an arts high school and seeing all these different bodies and all these different versions of people exist beautifully and wildly and on purpose. And then I got to college and I had my own experiences like I shared of just not feeling good here, not wanting to be here. And then I started doing leadership and I was a resident advisor for freshman girls. And one of the first questions one of them asked me, I did like this little tea night for them every week. And one of the girls like sitting on my couch and she was like, so how do you find value in yourself? And I was like, because I had been so good at being like, you're valuable. You're wonderfully, fearfully made. You're so loved. Don't let these boys trick you into think you ain't because you are. But inside that I was saying the opposite of things to myself. So I got caught in that moment because I was like, you're a hypocrite. You are so quick to empower all these other women and you are not saying those same things to yourself.
Yeah.
And then in order to be a resident advisor, we had to go on this backpacking trip, this 10-day backpacking trip in Yosemite. And my first year, I was terrified. So I trained, I fasted, I didn't eat as much as I probably should have. I lost a lot of weight, and I got to the point where I could do this 10-day backpacking trip. And there was one of the days where you had to lead your team on the trail. And so I was like, obviously so nervous, and we're like hiking. And like one of my guides is like, Ari, like you need to slow down. Like people are still catching up. I was like, okay, whatever. And then we're like hiking. And they're like, we gotta slow down. All right, can we slow down? And then the third time, hiking. And it was like, all right, we're going to take a break. We're going to slow it down. And then I had to pace myself. And being told, it's so silly, but like being told, slow down, you're going too fast, was like this wild moment where I was like, oh, you're so capable. Like I literally held myself. You are so capable. You are so strong. And you already were those things. I didn't have to do all these outlandish things to deprive you, to malnourish you, to force you into goodness. You were already good. And those two things kind of pivoted a lot for me. I couldn't, in good conscience, not speak kindly to myself when I was actively preaching kindness and the kindness over ourselves to other people, especially to other women. And then finding yoga, and then finding Zumba, and then finding all these places where it became less of a fear to tap back into myself. So much of it was fear-based because it was like, you can't trust your body. You can't trust your flesh. That's all bad. But like, there's so much here that we 100% can trust and can listen to. And so finding movement that helped me tap into that. And Zumba with a bunch of 50, 60-year-old women in the back room on a Saturday at 9 a.m. with Angie, this 5'2" little Zumba instructor, just healed so much and opened me up to so much freedom. And then starting to practice yoga, and then just like continuing to carry on this dedication to connect with myself and to listen to my body. Because she speaks a lot. She talks a lot. And so it's a journey. It's a daily practice, and it's less of a body positivity and more of a body neutrality. It's this awareness and acceptance of all the versions of ourselves. You know, I have a mantra that I say, I love and accept my body for where she is, where she was, and where she will be. All the versions of me, finding love and acceptance towards, because this is the home that holds us and carries us. And we only get one. So we might as well be nice to it.
We need to be nice to it. I really resonate with what you were saying about the realization that you had been being a hypocrite. I had to do the same thing for myself. I was like, Ashley, you're the most positive person you know. Why are you not being positive? Why aren't you keeping that same energy with yourself? Yes. Like it really, I remember it was even in, I was talking to Daryl one time about, I wanted him to get better at like receiving, like genuinely receiving compliments. He had a thing where he would, he's kind of the type of guy that, someone would give him a compliment. He would be like, no, like that's you. Or like this old thing, like, oh man, right. Like, it was kind of an as his
$5.
This ain't nothing, like, that type of thing. But as his wife, I really observed, like, hold on now. Like, no, I don't want you to be in the habit of that. I want you to be in the habit of being like, thank you so much. I received that. I appreciate you, big dog. Like, same to you, whatever. But you don't have to diminish in order to receive. Yeah. Like, you look good. You did a good job on such and such. Like, you know it. So why are we denying it? And I realized that in witnessing that in him, that I was doing a version of that with myself too. People were saying, Ashley, you look so good. And I would be like, really? No. Or, wow, I'm really proud of you for doing whatever. I didn't really do anything though, but thanks. Like, I was doing my own version of it. And I was like, yikes. Like, I can't do that. And like, what type of example is that setting for others, but also for myself. I think sometimes we have to be really mindful that like things that we can perceive maybe as being little, like small, random idiosyncrasies we have or habits, they can turn into like really bad habits. Like we can think it's like not a big deal that we're doing that. And then really we realize down the line how much it's affected our life, our successes, our ambitions, our inspirations. Like it can permeate every area of your life. And so I'm really just been trying to do a good job of like not being a hypocrite and like as highly as I speak of others, doing the same for myself. As beautiful as I think you are, Ariel, thinking of myself is just as beautiful. Absolutely. Like that's so very important. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing that because you're right.
Yeah. I think a lot of us too, like either you grew up in religious conversations where humility and a sense of self-deprecation was offered, or also being a woman, and not being able to take on accolades because it makes you look like you're bragging, that you think you're this or you're that. So we have these two worlds that we're having to dissect and unfold from, literally, and being able to take on like, yeah, I can take that compliment. Like I am allowed to say positive things about myself, and it doesn't negate anything or anyone else, that I can still be capable, powerful, strong, and I can still also identify and acknowledge that God is capable and powerful and strong. It doesn't have to be a this or that. It can be a yes and. That's like been so much of like where I'm at with like my spirituality and with everything, is that improv game of like yes and. Like no, it's not a no. It's a yes and also this, you know, like that I can take this compliment. But yeah, it is hard. Like you would be like, oh, it's old, you know, like you catch ourselves, like, and let's catch ourselves when we do that.
Yes.
And I have friends who are like, take it, just take the compliment. Just take it.
Please take the compliment. We're not just handing out compliments that don't mean anything.
Just take it. Yeah.
You talk a lot in your book about coming home to yourself. So what I want to dig into is, what did feeling lost feel like for you? What was that season of your life? And how did you know when you had returned home?
Yeah. The lost space or the lost season was everything was so much louder than my own thoughts, than my own knowing, than the knowing that I had been used to and connected to, trusting, even the very concept of hearing from the divine, hearing from Creator, that was shrewd because I couldn't differentiate between the voice of God and the voice of the authority in my life and authority figures in my life. Everything became so loud. This space of this is not the journey for you. You're not living into your namesake. This is not the love for you or the life for you. All of that just was loud. I was so indecisive. Half the time I didn't eat because I couldn't decide what to eat. I couldn't trust myself, barely trusted the world around me, couldn't trust my partner at the time, who I was so set on marrying and connected to, and that felt wonky. It all felt wonky. And so that lostness was, everything was so loud and I could not hear myself. And that coming back to was silencing all of it. And actually one of the last trips I took before COVID was, I went to Israel. And one of the most monumental moments was we get to our last hotel in Tel Aviv, which is the capital of Israel, and we're like right on the beach. And again, the beach and water has always been a spiritual place for me. It's where I go to listen, and where I go to be heard. And something into me was like, put your stuff down and go outside. So I was like, okay, I put myself down. I went outside, and there was this pathway that led to this lighthouse. And there were these giant rocks, and the waves just crashed on the rocks, so much so that it splashed on my face. And it was crashing and crashing, and it got to the point where I couldn't differentiate between my own tears and the salt water. And it was just this, I hadn't felt that seen in such a long time. It had been months and months and months of hearing what I'm not, who I'm not, how much wrong I was apparently doing and being. And there was just this literal washing of like, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay. You're here. You are connected to me, and you can trust me. And everything kind of pivoted at that space. There was I could stand a little taller. I could be a little bit more secure in my answers to things, when everything before that, I was just so fragile. I broke at everything, just because I couldn't process what I was experiencing and emoting, and feeling. And so I broke a little less. There was a little bit more strength in my voice and in my responses to things. I was a little bit more sure on, this is what I'm doing. This is what's happening in the world that I'm creating. Feel free to come with me or not to. And I could trust myself in that space a little bit more. And I think you'll know, I don't ever want to give answers that people start looking for it to look that way. We're so versatile, and we're so complex of human beings. You're knowing, you're settling into home, into security will look the way it needs to look for you. But the commonality is that you will know. You'll feel it. For me, it was my spine was a little bit taller. I felt very secure and grounded in the feet below me. And I knew what my next steps were, even though people were telling me that wasn't my next step. I knew it was my next step. And the willingness to feel and look a little crazy just because it's not what people want or expect of you. And so that was the stepping into my homeness. It was the like coming back to like, yeah. And I put that painting there for a reason, because it makes me feel this and that way. Yeah, the blanket on that couch looks like that because it elicits a space of home and connectedness for me. Yeah, these shorts fit the way they fit, and they rest directly in between my waist and my hip just perfectly. That's home. It's this settling into your own skin and into the direction you're going, even if it doesn't look like what other people say or tell you it needs to look like.
I love that. It's beautiful.
Cute.
What has been your takeaway from our conversation today?
I think for me, the takeaway is just feeling a rejuvenated and re-inspired. I think I've been going in major waves this last week, and last week's like I know a lot of us are, and we've talked about, just in sense of like being grounded in our artistry, being grounded in our craft. And, you know, I've definitely been looking at some jobs this week because we might need to go that route, you know, so that's, but I'm feeling very connected, to the work that I'm doing, and very thankful for platforms and for people and for conversations like yours, to be able to be reunited and rejuvenated in this work. And, knowing that, like, I think for me, being a writer, being an artist, being a creative, whatever, that's very much so who I am. Very more often than not, it's not really about what I'm doing or where I'm doing it. It's just, this is me. This is who I am. And so reminding myself of, even if I do need to pivot a little bit or adjust a little bit, that this is still who I am, and wholeheartedly what I feel called and connected to do. So thank you.
You're welcome, my friend. My takeaway from our conversation is that it's okay to be jealous as long as you use it as inspiration. And the reminder that so many of the things you may be jealous of, you already have within.
Yeah.
They're parts of you already. You just have to tap into them. So again, your poem, your piece really spoke to me because I thought that it was a great perspective on jealousy. It was a great perspective and piece on returning to yourself, to acknowledging your strengths and maybe the strengths of others, and like doing kind of like an exchange with that.
Yeah.
And I think that I might do my own list of things that I'm jealous of.
I think it's a great prompt.
It's a great prompt. And again, it kind of removes the stigma from jealousy. It makes it so, again, it's the reminder that you can be jealous as long as you're inspired. It's not, there's no hate surrounding it. There's no ill will, ill feeling. No, it's all good. But like, you're amazing. And I'm kind of jealous of that quality. And I'm going to try to tap into it too.
Yes. I've been like writing a little bit more on Substack, just trying to exercise just more long form outside of Instagram and things like that. And so my post this week was jealousy is a watering can, reframing the mindset of wanting to water your own grass. So using jealousy as a watering can and not a depletion of, let me water this girl's over here grass while I talk about all the things that she's doing, all the places she's going. No, actually, let me use that as a watering of my own glass of like, oh, wow, she went here and did this. Like, because half the time I feel like I would compare and be jealous of things that I'm like, you don't actually even want that. So why are you tripping? So it's like, no, what are the things I do see and that I do desire to have in my own story and in my own life, and using that as a watering can to water your own grass.
Today, Ariel, you truly watered me. You gave me some water from your can, and I hope that I was able to give you some from mine. And that's always the goal for me. So thank you. I appreciate you. I honor you. I see you, and I'm so grateful that you took the time with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. This podcast is produced by LWC Studios for OWN. The show's executive producer is Juleka Lantigua. Our managing producers are Paulina Velasco and Fatima El Swiffy. Shanice Tyndall is our lead producer. This episode was mixed by Trent Lightburn. Michelle Baker is our video editor. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, and we hope you did, please make sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and review wherever you listen to your podcast to ensure you hear the next one.